This is the last present I will ever give you. My husband shoves divorce papers to me. I've decided to marry someone else. So thank you for being a cash dispenser until now. The guy I have been with for so many years turns out to be a horrible person. This is a story of my revenge. My name is Jessica. I'm turning 50 this year. In fact, tomorrow is a little special day. I'll be living in debt for a long time and will finally finish paying it off. My husband Lance and I have worked really hard together. We got married 20 years ago. I was 30 and he was 35. He ran a liquor store that he inherited from his parents who had passed away. I, on the other hand, was an office worker. We met through an acquaintance and started dating with marriage in mind. I had one concern back then. What if he asked me to run the store with him? I was working as a financial consultant who advised on insurance and investment to individual and corporate clients at the time. I was getting paid better than average 30-year-olds and loved my job. I was studying for certification to take my career to the next level when he proposed to me. He said, "I know you have been working hard to get the certification. I want to support you in any way I can. I have enough staff at the store so I can manage it myself. You should pursue your dreams." His assurance was a catalyst for my decision to marry him. He was benevolent and always on my side. I truly wanted to build a life with such a man. As we agreed in the beginning, he focused on his business, and I focused on my work. We thought that our marriage was going well. About a year into it, he went to work, and I was spending my day off at home. When I was vacuuming under the bed, it caught a lot of papers. It had been less than 6 months since we moved in. I wondered why there was such clutter. I picked up a crumpled piece of paper and opened it. The header in bold letters jumped into my eyes. Reminder of payment. The total amount of the debt under Lance's name was $200,000. 200,000 was not 2,000, is it? My head started spinning. Why did he hide such a large amount of debt from me? I questioned him as soon as he got home that day. What is this debt? What's going on? No, it's not what you think. It was left to me by my parents. That was not a personal debt, but rather on his liquor store. It was made by his parents, and when he took over the business, it also came along. It was secured by the land and the house we lived in, so he had no intention to renounce the inheritance. I understood that it was not his personal debt, but it was not something that could be left unattended. But this is a payment reminder. Aren't you paying back every month? I am, but sales fluctuate from month to month. Sometimes I can't pay them back during the slow month. I have to pay my staff first, so I've asked them to wait. That's when the letter came. At first, his explanation sounded to make sense, but it was definitely not a good idea to delay payment. The letter included the words "final notice." I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to freak out. Don't worry though. Business is on track, and we haven't been evicted from the house, right? That's true, but I looked at him anxiously. Then he mentioned something unexpected. "If you're so worried, why don't you help me pay it off? You are making quite a lot, aren't you?" I wasn't comfortable with where he was going. It was not my store, and a husband and a wife were supposed to help each other. "My debt is also yours. That's a bit sudden. Are you okay if my store went out of business? Many people would suffer if it was gone, you know." I guess he was right. His store had become an indispensable part of the community. It was located in the suburbs where there weren't many shops or supermarkets around. He was also selling fresh foods such as meat and fish and offered a home delivery service. I visited the shop several times, and it was always busy. Some customers stated that they were so grateful to have it in the neighborhood. "Please, honey, I'll be focused on keeping my business rolling. Please help me pay off my debts." I respected the way he took his work seriously and devoted himself. I didn't want to see his store disappear. I didn't want that to happen for sure. Being married means that we support each other at all times. If you are struggling, it seems only natural for me to help him. Okay, I'll repay back as much as I can every month from my salary. You can concentrate on managing the store. I could help financially, but only he could run it. I was happy that he relied on me above all else. However, it was the beginning of a change in him. About 3 years had passed since I took over his debt. He often came home late. What were you doing until this late? You reek of alcohol. I just had a few drinks with my customers, honey. Did you make a payment this month? For some reason, he sounded condescending. I did last week. Why? The store depends on you. You'd better keep paying on time. Whenever he got drunk those days, he gave me an order. I had taken it as nonsense from a drunkard, but it started to prick my nerves when he did it repeatedly. He made it sound like it was normal for me to pay back his debt. By the way, Matt has a third kid now. I envy him. Matt was his friend from high school. He had his own business, just like Lance. His wife also worked in the store with him. I've been wanting to talk to you about that. I told him what I had been keeping to myself. Don't you think it's time for us to start a family? His reaction was very cold. What, baby? My business has just started picking up, and we are still in debt. How can we be so irresponsible? That was his stance. I held back my annoyance. Matt has 3 children now, right? We can manage one too. His parents are still well, and his wife works in the store. They are different from us. I couldn't counter that. I'd always thought that I would have children when I got married. My dream was crushed easily, so until I paid off all your debts, we can't have a baby. Well, I guess that's how it's going to be. If you make a lot of money and pay off studies quickly, I will think about it. His mean smile disgusted me, but I felt impatient to pay off the debts as soon as possible. How blind I was! Even though it was an irrational demand, I was still occupied with the thought of starting a family and didn't even think about it. From then on, I worked tirelessly for Lance. I actively obtained qualifications, took promotional exams, and secured a salary increase. I started earning much more than women my age. I even made advance payments, but the debt didn't disappear so easily. I turned 40 before I knew it and had to give up on having children. I thought to myself that I still had my husband and thought he was enough. He relied on me, and I could do anything for him. As long as I still believed that, I remained happy. Lance started coming home later and later as the days went by. He sometimes came back in the morning. I was working in the store, and it was morning when I realized it. I had to go out with a customer, and the next thing I knew, the sun was out. When I saw him working so hard to protect the store, I felt that I had to do my best as a wife too. We were on the same boat, sailing for a better future together. The months and years went by, and the day finally arrived. I was going to make the last payment the next day. For the sake of the debt, I had to pass on all sorts of luxuries I didn't need to do so anymore. I could finally spend my hard-earned money the way I wanted. I realized that ever since I got married, I had been thinking too much about money. We had never taken a vacation or even dined at a nice restaurant. We were still in our 50s. I hoped to finally enjoy such things from then on. On the day the last payment was due, I took a day off. I prepared a more opulent dinner than usual, complete with a bottle of wine and Lance's favorite chocolate cake, intending to celebrate a debt-free life together. When he returned from work, I laid everything out on the table, remarking, "Finally, it feels like it's been a long time." But the last 20 years have gone by so fast, haven't they, honey? His trembling and lowered head made me wonder if he was crying from happiness. However, to my shock, he burst into laughter in a way I had never heard before. "What the hell is going on? Are you okay?" My supposed husband declared something outrageous. "You are dismissed now. I'm grateful to you for the past 20 years. Thanks to you paying off all my debt, I'm a free man. Great job. I don't need you anymore." What are you talking about? I genuinely had no clue. He pulled out something from his bag. "This is my last present to you." Bold letters of a divorce petition stabbed my eyes. Proudly, he continued, "I've decided to marry someone else. So you are no longer of any use to me. Thanks for being my cash dispenser until now. You're getting remarried? Have you been cheating on me all this time?" I recalled his habitual late returns, citing work or socializing. While I toiled to pay off his debt, he was nowhere to be found. His expression remained smug. I will never read that unfaithful. I have already found the next potential wife. I want to divorce you and marry her. That's why I have been waiting for you to clear my debt. Tears welled up at the absurdity. The feast I had prepared blurred before my saddened eyes. Get the hell out of here. He handed me the divorce papers. My blood boiled faster than I could feel sadness or despair. Okay, but you won't regret it. I forced out my voice. No, I won't. Why would I regret divorcing an old hag like you? Old hag? If I were her, he would be an old fart. Did he think he was still young? His misconception was so ridiculous that I regained composure and accepted the divorce papers. I'm going to take this with me for now, and I'll be in touch. I packed my belongings and left the house. How could my 20 years of marriage come to such an easy end? Finally alone, I shed tears of emptiness and frustration. Later, I asked my attorney for a divorce agreement, sending it to Lance. I also requested a background report on his bride-to-be. Shortly after, he called me. Hey, Jessica, what the hell is this document? He sounded furious. I could imagine his face turning bright red even over the phone. Contrasting his fury, I remained calm. That is a divorce agreement. What about it? I know what it is. What I'm talking about is this loan agreement. Why do I have to pay you back? He sounded distraught, yelling, This is crazy. This is not right. Referring to the repayment of the loan between spouses during the marriage, he protested against returning the money I paid on his behalf. This is ridiculous. You decided to do it out of your goodwill, didn't you? Why are you digging up the past? What do you mean? I did it as your wife. If we divorce, that's a different story. Regret hit him. He just realized it. When he asked for a divorce, I immediately thought of making him repay my head. My profession involved dealings with insurance and investments, giving me contacts with experienced attorneys. I consulted them right away. The total, including interest, was a little over $300,000. I was determined to have him pay me back precisely that. That was all I asked for. He grasped the seriousness, seeing the name of a locally famous attorney on the document. Ludicrously, he said, you know that I don't have much money. Sell the store to fund it then. If I do that, I won't have anything left. You're only 55. You could still find a job if you wanted to. Give me a break. The conversation made no sense. I wanted to hang up, but there was one last thing to check. How's it going with your new bride-to-be? None of your business. I burst out in laughter. It seemed like he was going through a lot. Good luck. I was about to hang up. Wait a minute. I've decided not to marry her. We can start over. For some reason, he pleaded with me. I yelled my last words and hung up. Start over? Don't kid yourself. I don't want you. I had been married to such a man for 20 years. Did I look more ridiculous than him in the eyes of others? I respected him until the divorce. I had watched him work hard for the store and his customers. 20 years later, I realized he was just a fool. The mentioned remarriage started with innocent flirtation with a part-time university student, Melissa. You are so cute, Melissa. Will you be my wife? She played along, jokingly replying, Well, I would think about it if you let me be a full-time housewife. The truth was, he believed she was serious. Marrying a man nearly 40 years her senior seemed like a mere joke to her. It turned horrifying when he persistently pressed her to marry him, leading her parents to intervene and obtain a restraining order against him. Reading the private investigation report, I laughed so hard I hyperventilated. When he came home late, I assumed he was working hard, unaware of the truth. Instead, he was hitting on young girls at bars and strip joints, boasting, I'm surprisingly popular with young girls. I'm a salesman, so I have this easy-to-talk-to aura and get along with them. And I'm told that I look younger. Don't you think so? The girls apparently cringed at his comments. With no use for his older wife and viewing me only as a cash dispenser, his misconceived self-image turned him into a somewhat laughable stalker who almost got in trouble with the police. Perhaps it would have been better if he had cheated on me. Unfortunately, he couldn't even find a mistress. The reason behind his pursuit of a young girl was his friend Matt having a grandchild. Matt recounted, "As soon as he saw my grandchild, he said he wanted to have a child himself. I scolded him, saying he shouldn't say such a thing. You have been paying his debt for him." He was absolutely mortified. "I'm glad I didn't spend my golden years with that man," I muttered. My divorce finalized, and despite unclear property division, he gave up due to my attorney's reputation. I wondered how such a gutless person had stayed in business. He sold the store to pay me back. Fortunately, just before the sale, his employees abandoned him. Customers frowned at him for giving up a family business. When they learned the reason was to pay his ex-wife, shock spread through the community. He got what he deserved when he demanded a divorce. A true story that sounded like a comedy circulated. Even if he hadn't sold the store, the bad publicity would have affected his business. Selling before bankruptcy was probably a blessing. The money wasn't enough, so he still works part-time to pay me back. Sometimes he messages, "It was all my fault. Can we get back together?" Even after blocking, he calls from different phones. "If you contact your ex-wife any further, we'll file a restraining order," warned my attorney. The calls stopped. He is terrified of the attorney. Guess what I do now? I'm a marriage counselor. Turning 50, I joined my friend's matchmaking business. I quit my previous job, helping singles find a match, offering advice on finances, insurance, etc. Couples appreciating frank discussions from the beginning increased our membership. Having been through a lot, I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did. Though my salary is lower, I enjoy helping others be happy every day. I found happiness after getting rid of my ex-husband. Today, I'm a bridge to someone else's happiness.